Hey everybody, and welcome to my Bard controller guide. In this guide, we're going to be going over my hotbar layout, various macros that I might be using, and then going into controller tips and tricks, HUD layouts, all of it. We're going to dive into this fantastic job and how it plays in Stormblood. So if you're not aware, if this is your first guide with us, welcome. We hope you enjoy it. Please let us know if you have questions in the comments below. But to start out, we were going to cover a few things. First, when we say my cross hotbar layout, we're talking about this, as well as this beautiful bar. You can see I'm using a mouse, but if you're on PlayStation 4, you can always enable the virtual mouse by pressing down on the left bumper or L1, and then down on the right stick like a click. And now all of a sudden I'm using my right stick to move the cursor around. This is how you can drag and drop and move things to and from the bars. I've gotten a couple questions where people say they can like left click and then like, hey, it's not letting me move. Well, simple enough. Just make sure your hotbar 1 is turned on and then this lock symbol is not locked. If it is locked, it will not let you move those skills around. And that's actually important once you kind of find ways for these to be set up. But here I am trying to click it and it's a little bit difficult. To exit out, left bumper and then down on the right stick, and there you go. For the rest of it, I'm going to go ahead and use my mouse because I play on PC, but this is perfect for both PC controller players and PS4 controller players as well. So this is hotbar 3, and you can see that under the HUD layout listed here, hotbar 3. The reason is that it doesn't give me numbers. I am not ever clicking on any of these buttons. These are just to communicate cooldowns to me, things that I might have hidden on other various bars. Also, just a point of editor's note, I have all of the cross-roll skills joined here in patch 4.4, which is just around the corner. You'll be able to take all 10 abilities. So I went ahead and set this up like I was using all 10 abilities. So for anybody who's watching after that, this guide also applies. To start off, I've got Refresh, Invigorate, Second Wind, Arm Graze, Head Graze, Imperial Arrow, Sidewinder, and then Misery's End. Reason is I use Misery's End in a macro, so I want to know whenever it's active for me to use. Sidewinder I also have here, but I have it in a macro. I'm debating if I want to kind of move this around in the future, but for the time being, we're keeping it there. I'm using the Double Cross Hotbar, meaning I can double tap the L trigger or double tap the R trigger to get into the Double Cross Hotbars. All these is Hotbar 3, and this is where you would add your icons. Nature's Mini, Troubadour, Palisade, and Battle Voice. And then over on the right hand side, we've got the Warden's Paean, Straight Shot, Sidewinder, and Iron Jaws. You can feel free to move Straight Shot and Refulgent Arrow here and there. It's kind of your preference. I prefer it this way after having played with the job for a while, but do whatever you feel like is necessary. On the left trigger, I've got over here on the up, down, left, right, I've got my songs: Wanderer's Minuet, Mage's Ballad, Army's Paean, and Foes Requiem, followed by basically my AoE and then obviously my conditional Pitch Perfect. So Rain of Death, Quick Knock, Repelling Shot, and Pitch Perfect right there. On the right hand side, we've got Raging Strikes, Barrage, and Inferian Arrow or Furial Arrow, and then Blood Inside, and this is a macro that I'll show you guys here in a second when we jump into the macros. Then I've got Caustic Bite and Storm Bite. These are the upgraded skills that you'll have at an earlier age. So this is basically your dots, and we can cover those under the actions and traits abilities here. So that's Venomous Bite and Wind Bite. So those upgrade into those other abilities, which is fantastic, but I kind of keep them there. So if you're under level 70, that will work out perfectly. Followed by Heavy Shot and then the level 70 ability, Refulgent Arrow. I debated on also putting it over here, but because this is a conditional firing, it runs under the same conditions as Straight Shot, I went and put it here. And because it's a little bit stronger, I want to use this more often because I can always pop Straight Shot whenever necessary. To give you guys an example here with the targeting dummy, as I attack, I can go ahead and up, left, and then right if I don't have Inferior Arrow up, and then that way I am now ready to rock and roll with with my Barrage and my strongest hitting ability at that time. Easily to be able to rotate songs with the left trigger, up, down, left, and then obviously right to be able to cycle my songs. You can kind of see my HUD layout. You can see that my song gauge is right here in the center, and we'll cover that and where I place that all here in a second. So that is pretty much it. Like the Bard itself is pretty straightforward to be able to do that. It's very mobile, and that's one of the reasons why you're going to see me have all of my really big attacks or my main attacks on the ABXY buttons, as well, you know, either left or right side. If I was running an AoE rotation, I still am able to attack and move and also get out of dodge very easily and comfortably. Using the up, down, left, and right buttons, it's not as easy or comfortable if you're moving. One of the things you'll easily find is that as you move, you can, if you're in a standing still job, if you're not doing a lot of mobility, then by all means, you can easily use those for main attacks. And you can see that my Misery's End is up. So because I have the macro, it's going to use that first. And there we go. Okay, and before we move on, I do want to cover the extended cross hotbar, which is basically pressing L trigger and right trigger together. You can also do the same for right trigger than left trigger, and you'll see that I've got 2 additional hotbars here. On the right way side, I've got various targeting macros, obviously my limit break, sprint, and various mounts. So all of my jobs, the limit break button is always in the same spot. This is important if you play multiple jobs because you want to use muscle memory to the best of your ability. Muscle memory is key. Put your stun in the same spot, put like aggro building, put your damage, put it in the same spot so that as you transition, you're going to be working for yourself in that case. So all it is the expanded cross hotbar is 2 left. You can see that here I've got Paleon, Foot Graze, Second Wind, Tactician, Refresh, Invigorate, Arm Graze, and Head Graze. If you just remember that these abilities are coming in with 4.4, and if you're wondering how I have these all equipped at the same time right now, under the Actions and Traits menu, under Roll, all you have to do is unequip and then equip the other set, and you can drag the additional sets to your bar to be ready for patch 4.4. And let's go ahead and jump into my HUD layout, and then we'll get into macros before we finish it off with controller tips and tricks. So HUD layout, you can see it pretty standard here. Feel free to make this whatever makes sense. Same thing with the cross hotbar layout. Hopefully this is a guide that helps give you an idea that you can kind of take and make your own. You can see I said hotbar 3, left and right cross hotbars, main cross hotbar, parameters, experience. I've experience up here from time to time as well, but it's pretty straightforward. From there, you can see I've got my song gauge and my enfeeblements and my enhancements here. Now that's status info. You can split these out, which is really handy. And so I've gone ahead and done that. So I can see my buffs and my debuffs. And then I have my status info stuff here for like food buffs, things that aren't as critical, things that are going to be on me for a longer period of time. But here's my debuffs. Here's my buffs right there. So I've kind of got those split out. You can manage pretty much every element here with the settings, and they have varieties of things. That's how we can kind of turn on hotbar 3. If you guys aren't aware of this, you can pick what kind of hotbar is it. Is it going to be, you know, up and down, left and right, things like that. So I'm gonna hit cancel and just keep it right where it is at. Item help. The other thing I put up here, we got target bar, progress bar, focus target bar, and then my enemy list to be able to kind of see here and target. One of the things that a lot of people might not be aware of, especially when using a controller, has a lot of targeting options, and we do have a getting started with the controller guide here on the channel. But let me go ahead and just target 2 guys real quick. Oh, good. I got my my perk here. I'm just going to go and use it because it's beautiful. I can hold L bumper and I can use up and down to cycle through any enemies on my enemy list. This is fantastic for tanking, but this is also really helpful as a DPS as you see your enemy list. So try to make sure that you're using the UI to the best of your ability. Okay, we've talked about a lot of stuff already, and there's still more to cover, and that is the user macros section. You can see I use a lot of macros, but for the most part, we're going to cover this one right here. This is what I call blood and side. I'm using Sidewinder, and then I'm using bloodletter. This uses what we call fail through, meaning it's going to try Sidewinder, and if it can't use it, then it's going to use bloodletter. This is really important because I wanted to put them all on one button and find it way more comfortable for me to use that way. But it's up to you whether you decide to use it. Obviously, you see here I can still access it directly on its own. That's why it's also important. Let me move this around here a little bit, resize it. Boom, there we go. That's why I also put it here to communicate that it's off cooldown, so that when I press this, it's going to be the first thing that fires. Feel free to, again, to use this at your own discretion. Macros can be a DPS loss within content because the way that they're coded, they're not going to use the queue system, so you could be leaving precious seconds, if not smaller than that, on the table. So just be aware of that before you start using macros itself. Okay, so then you can see here that I've got heavy shot. This is Misery's End and heavy shot. So if I pull up the code, make it a little bit bigger for you guys to see on your screen, it's just heavy shot, target, Misery's End, target, and then heavy shot. And I use the macro icon heavy shot, so that's going to give me that cooldown effect. Feel free not to do this. Again, like I said, with the DPS loss that could occur with macros, but that is what it is. Okay, guys, as part of the layout, the controller, the HUD, if you have any questions on that, sound off in the comments below. I'd love to make sure that you're comfortable with the controller itself as Bard. All right, so now let's dive into some controller tips and tricks. The first one being filters. You'll find this under Control Settings and the Filters tab. This is going to be your best friend when using the controllers. Targeting is typically the number one, I guess, stress-inducing piece for using the controller. You're like, how can I possibly play this game and use a controller? Well, use your filters and that will save you so much time. First, you'll see that when my weapon is sheathed and my weapon is drawn, you can have 2 default filters just at the root of it. And we're going to talk about the advanced filters here in a second. So for the custom one, when my weapon is sheathed, I'm going to target non-party PCs, alliance members, enemies, etc. I turn off minions, signs, and pets, and party members. You can always cycle through your party members by using up and down on the D-pad. This is really important for healers. And because you have that up and down, there's no reason it should be in your filters list for sheathed or unsheathed unless you really, really want it that way. So you see that I've got them turned off for both cases. Now when my weapon is drawn, you see that I'm only going to focus in on targeting enemies. So that way if I'm out in the field and my weapon is drawn, I'm only going to target possible enemies, targets that I can hit through. Makes it very easy. Weapon's not drawn, all of a sudden you can see, here I go. Everything else is selectable. Weapon drawn, oh, no targets to be able to receive. This is the biggest and most time-savingest, if that's an expression, way to go about it. So character configuration filters are key. Like I said, there are advanced filters that you can use to cycle through by holding down the left bumper and then pressing one of the face buttons. And you can see that you can build out additional 4 other filters besides just sheathed and drawn. So that way, if for some reason, if you're struggling, you want to say everything, there you go. Enemies, all, and then just friends. So it's very powerful, it's very helpful. And then obviously sheathing and unsheathing your weapon will turn in your filter. You can actually see that, what filter you're currently on based off of your stance. So it's very helpful that they have that right there if you are not aware of it. Okay, so now we still got a couple other things to cover. Hotbar settings. This is where you can kind of manage your hotbars, but the big key here, as I have display hotbar numbers turned off, you can turn it on and that way you can see the different hotbars that you have out there. I don't like it. I also hide unassigned slots. This helps keep things very clean and easy to use. You can see if I turn on or turn that off, you can see all of a sudden I have all these spots. But if I'm not using it, I don't want to see it. Under sharing, this is where, based off of the multiple jobs that you play, you'll see that various hotbars are shared or not shared. Sharing means that it's checked. So you can see hotbar 8, 9, and 10, and then here 7 and 8. So for my cross hotbar, 1 through 6 is always going to be for that specific job, 7 and 8 or not. And that's what we covered with the double cross hotbar here, the expanded cross hotbar. So this is shared, this is shared, and this is not shared. This is custom for the job itself. This is managed under the custom tab. You can see here where you set it for the expanded cross hotbar, set to 2 left and 7 right. This is where my shared, where my mounts, where all that is, and then this is where it's specific. And then the double cross hotbar is managed which hotbar it's pulling from by setting it to 3 left and 3 right, which is job specific. You can say enable custom filtering through your hotbars when your weapon is sheathed and drawn, just like with the targeting. So what this means is that when my weapon is sheathed, I can press right bumper and it will go 1 to 7 to 8. Or if for some reason my weapon is drawn and I press it, it's always going to keep me in the 1 spot. You can do the same and have the same custom stuff different from PvP if you wish. And finally, the cross hotbar when we're talking about how it's set up. If you've got young kids or if you're a little bit younger and you're struggling with it yourself, maybe check out the toggle mode or the mix mode. The hold mode right here is where when I hold it, it is active, and when I release it, it's not. So if I go to toggle, I can press it and it will stay active. I don't have to hold it. And if I go mix, it means I can hold it and I can release it. But if I press it, it kind of is a blend of both of those worlds. I prefer hold. When I was starting out, I played around with both of them. I thought I was going to like these more, but as I've gotten more comfortable with the controller, I've ended up preferring hold, and I believe there's a lot of settings here that actually require using hold in this case. So here for the double cross hotbar, I have it as always display, and then I have it say return to the cross hotbar after the input. So here, if I use Nature's Mini, boom, you can see that it automatically refocuses me over here into my hotbars itself. Same thing when it would go over here. That way, as far as it goes, these are usually one-off abilities. I'm not doing any combos out there. However, you can turn that off and turn these into their own combos itself. And with that, that is my cross hotbar guide. That is my HUD guide. That is the controller guide for the Bard. I can say that I've really enjoyed playing Bard in this game. It has been a lot of fun to play this job and learn this job. And hopefully what this guide does is it gives you some ideas to things that you can try on your own. Hopefully it makes you more comfortable with the controller, whether you're playing on PC or PS4. Final Fantasy XIV by far is the most, I guess, friendly for controller and keyboard and mouse players. It's really unfortunate that other games don't study this one and look at how they've managed to run an MMO with the controller in mind. It is my personal opinion that it is the best way to play, but you're obviously welcome to your own opinion. Anyway, guys, for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Hey, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video. You should click here to subscribe and here to maybe check out some more of our videos. So again, thanks for watching. We hope you like this video. We hope you subscribe and join our community. Let us know in the comments below what you think, and we'll see you next time. Bye.